so I see Aliyah's. Can we do one like right here? And then, I mean, it makes sense to do them where the brakes are, doesn't
It'd
it?
be the same exact thing as last year.
Oh, I don't know if we did that last year. Last year we were on tape.
Oh, you're right, we recorded it all, but I think it's where your markings are, correct?
Okay, yeah.
So this is the first section, and then here to there, and then
Oh, no, the first section's up here
oh, here to,
to here.
okay,
And then it starts up with Kutsukam
okay, down to here.
down to here. Yeah.
Okay, so you go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, see, I'm sorry. In the other nine, and then it comes back down to Nipnese Vatakum.
Okay, I'll follow along with you, and I
Okay.
can help you out if anything happens.
Yes, yep.
Sure.
As long as we get the brakes right.
You're an old pro, you're a veteran. Yeah. Welcome back, everyone online and everyone joining us in person as we resume our Yom Kippur services this afternoon at Temple Kolami in West Bloomfield. I'm Rabbi Gutman. This is Janet Christensen here with me this morning to lead you. And we begin our service with an Amidah, with a standing prayer. We turn to page 398 for Adonai Sefatai.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Agitehi Latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei hakol, v'zocher chastei avot ve'imahot, u'mevii geula libnei bneihem, leman shemo de'ahava. Zochreinu b'chaim, melech hafetz b'chaim, v'chotenu b'sefer hachayim, leman ha'Elohim chayim. Melech ozer, Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ezrat Sarah.
Amen.
Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, b'chayei hakol atah rab le'hoshia. Mechakel chayim b'chesed, b'chayei hakol b'rachamim rabim, somech noflim b'rofei cholim, u'matir asurim, לשני עפר. מחמוך בגבורות ומי דומה לך. מלך ממיתון חיה ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני,
Baruch Shmo.
מחיי הכל.
Amen. You may be seated. The bottom of page 400 together. God of holiness, let your glory be with us always as a holy light illuminating for us the paths of righteousness. For you are holy, your name is holy, and those who strive to be holy declare your glory day by day. Blessed is the Eternal One who rules in holiness. We continue page 404 with our confessional prayer.
אחי שחטאנו לפניך.
We have sinned against life by failing to work for peace.
We have
Sinned against life by keeping silent in the face of injustice.
אחי שחטאנו לפניך.
We have sinned against life by ignoring those who suffer in distant lands. We have sinned against life by forgetting the poor in our own midst.
אחי שחטאנו לפניך.
We have failed in to respect those made in the image of God.
We have withheld our
Our
love from those who depend on
us.
אחי שחטאנו לפניך.
We have engaged in gossip and in repeated slander.
We have
Distorted the truth for our own advantage.
אחי שחטאנו לפניך.
We have conformed to fashion and not to conscience.
We have indulged in despair and trafficked with cynics. אחי שחטאנו לפניך.
We have given meager support to our houses of study,
We have
neglected our heritage of learning.
אחי שחטאנו לפניך.
We have sinned against ourselves and paid scant heed to the life of the Spirit.
We have sinned against ourselves and have not risen to fulfill our best that is in us.
Sins, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement. We continue on page 406. Together, our God and God of our ancestors, sanctify us with your mitzvot, and let your Torah be our way of life. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. For alone are the
one who pardons and forgives us
in every generation. We have no God but you. Blessed is our God, whose forgiving love annuls our trespasses year after year. Ruler of all the world, you hallow the house of Israel and the day of atonement.
Humbled in prayer, we seek to reach you. hearts open wide, longing to be true. Oh, let us know that you are near. Open our hearts so we may hear the still clear voice within us all. May we be worthy in our prayer and feel your presence everywhere, that we may answer when you call. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ve'amcha Yisrael u'tefilatan ve'ahavat tiraber. Oh, let us know that you are near. Open our hearts so we may hear the still clear voice within us all. May we be worthy in our prayer and feel your presence everywhere, and we may answer when you call. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu.
We continue following quietly in our books through page 408. בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ובריאות טובה, זקן וגדל בית ישראל. one who makes peace on high make peace in our homes and in our hearts. As we say amen. We are moving into our Torah service for this afternoon, and we'd like to welcome, for help with opening the Ark, Rondi Brower, as well as help from Carol and Mark DeVore with lifting and undressing our Sifrei Torah as we rise and turn in our books to page 450. You may be seated. Friends, this is a special moment where we take out not any Torah scroll, but the very first that came into the possession of this congregation. And so I'd like to welcome, it's right where he's supposed to be, imagine that, our very own Joe Conrad to share with us some special words, the story of this Torah scroll.
Shana Tova. One of the reasons the Nazis stole Jewish books and artifacts and Torahs was to preserve them so they could later build a museum to commemorate the destruction of the Jewish people. This Torah scroll was one such artifact, believed to be created around the 1870s and written then, inscribed. It comes from Tamysl's house in what's now the Czech Republic. The city was founded in 1231 by King Przemysl Otakar II as a fort. It was dedicated to a temple around 1890. When Rabbi Conrad and Barbara Kapsonel Grauer picked up the Torah, it brought tears of joy and sorrow. Dad cried, not just for the memories of his families and friends, but for the congregants who were murdered and never got to read from this Torah again. The Torah was found in a salt mine which cause damage to its appearance, but not to its meaning.
We welcome Dr. Mike Sheldon, our Torah reader, as well as our first Oleh, the Torah, our first honoree to the Torah. Avgod Elohim Tenu Chavod LeTorah, Ya'amod Shimshon Rishon. The Torah reading can be found in our books, page 452.
That's me. People find it. Let it be out of it's all. Let it be out of lay more. Is that it? Daber, no. Sure, lay more daber. There we go. No, that's not it. No? More daber. L is that it? Daber. L aviha. L. Daber. No, daber. No koladot. Yeah. B'nai Yisrael. Yeah. Gosh. Daber L. B'nai Yisrael.
Excuse us while we're having scrolling difficulties here.
Further this way, we already looked at that. Did we? Yeah, koladot is what we're looking for. I was wondering if it was the other one. This is, what chapter is this? This is 19, so. Israel. Nope, that's Bahar Sinai's. Okay, so we've got the roots right now. Let me see here. Let me see it out of the way. I don't see it. That's the end of the book. So, we're back this way. Don't say that. I don't want you to recreate it. This is the 18. Oh, Koladot. There it is. B'nai Yisrael. Right here at the bottom. There you go. Okay. Od pan Ya'amod Shimshon Rishon.
Baruchu et Adonai Hamavarak.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarak Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Ashar Bakar Banu Mikol Hamim. V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
V'yedabar Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el koladot, b'nei Yisrael v'amart elehem kadoshim to you. Ki kadosh, ani Adonai Elohechem. Ishi mo v'aviv tira'u, v'et shevatotai tisroru. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Al tifnu el ha'elelim v'elohei masacha, lo ta'asu lachem. Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Ashar Natan Lanu Torah Emet. V'chayei Olam betochenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Go ahead this way. Stay up here. Ya'amod, ta'amod. Meira, wait a second. Slicha. I haven't eaten anything all day. I'm sorry, guys. The brain stopped thinking here. No, I don't have it. Sharon. Ta'amod, Sharon, Shenit.
Baruch hu Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Uvkutzrechem et ketzir artzachem lo tikalep be'at sadcha ligzor, v'lek kesircha lo tilaket, v'karmacha lo te'ulel, uferet karmacha lo tilaket. Li'ani v'lager ta'azov otam, ani Adonai Elohechem, lo tignovu, v'lo techachashu, v'lo teshakaru, ish ba'amito, v'lo teshava'u v'ishbi l'shaker, v'hilalta et shem Elohecha, ani Adonai. Lo ta'ashuk et re'acha v'lo tigzol, lo talin pi'ulat sachir itcha ad boker, lo tikalel cheresh v'lifnei iver, lo titein mikshol, v'yarita me'Elohecha, ani Adonai. Lo ta'asu avel b'mishpat, lo tisa f'nei dal, v'lo tehdar p'nei gadol, b'tzedek tishbot amitecha. Lo talin pi'ulat sachir itcha ad boker.
Lo telech.
Lo
Lo telech lachil.
lo ta'amod al dam recha, ani Adonai. Lo tisna et achicha bevavecha tochiach et amitecha, v'lo tisa alan chet. Lo tikom v'lo titor et b'nei amecha, v'yahavta l'recha kamocha, ani Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Step on over here, Sharon. Ya'amdu esichuna ben Yaakov ve'vo halevi ve'gito ve'ruchel bat. It's cut off. Shenit, ruchel bat. Esther Shoshana. Shenit. Or Shlishit. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Mipnei seva takum, v'yadarta p'nei zakein, v'yarita me'Elohecha, ani Adonai. V'hi agur itcha ger be'artzachem, lo tonu oto, ketz ramikem, yelachem, hager hagar itchem, v'yahavta lo kamocha, ki gerim heyitem be'eretz Mitzrayim, ani Adonai Elohechem, lo ta'asu avel b'mishpat, b'midah b'mishkol uv'amsurah. Muznei zedek, avnei zedek, efat zedek, v'hin zedek, yelachem, ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti achem me'eretz Mitzrayim. Ushmartem et kol hukatai v'et kol mishpatai v'asitem otam, ani Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We say shkoach to all of you. How the Devors to help us with lifting and dressing the Torah school.
Bend with the knees.
Bend with the knees. Please rise.
Asher Samoshe, Lifnei Bnei Yisrael, Al Pi Adonai, B'yad Moshe. This is the Torah that Moses placed before the people of Israel to fulfill the word of God. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, bum bum bum, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, bum bum bum, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe, bum bum bum, Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
And as the Torah is rested, you may be seated. Go. Go. Oh my God. Oh, pro must be doing this for years. I'll stay up here. I'll stay up here. So, probably, no, I think actually I have that mic off. Probably the most memorable Haftarah of the entire year occurs here on the afternoon of Yom Kippur. It's a story of adversity, a story of challenge, a story of a prophet reluctant to do the work that God called on him to do, fearful that those whom he'd been asked to give tochacha to go and reproach them, that they lacked the ability to change. And so rather than embracing his mission, he fled from it. Ultimately, of course, that doesn't work, right? When God's determined you're to do something, fleeing is not going to be the answer. And so we have ultimately a story of redemption, a story of teshuvah, a story of turning and coming back. This is the book of Jonah. We welcome our Haftarah honoree. We welcome Ron to share with us this afternoon's Haftarah, page 456 in your prayer books.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Oops, I'm sorry. Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim. V'ratzav v'divrehem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai. Habocher b'Torah u'b'Moshe avdo u'b'Yisrael amo u'b'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. The word of the Eternal came to Jonah, son of Amittai, "Go at once to Nineveh, the great city, and proclaim judgment upon it, for the wickedness has come before me." Jonah started out, however, to flee to Tarshish from the service of the Eternal. He went down to Joppa and found the ship going to Tarshish. He paid the fare and went aboard to sail with the others to Tarshish, away from the service of the Eternal. But the Eternal cast a mighty wind upon the sea, and such a tempest came upon the sea that the ship seemed likely to break up. In their fright, the sailors cried out, each to his own God, and they flung the cargo overboard to make the ship lighter. Meanwhile, Jonah had gone into the hold of the vessel, where he lay down and fell asleep. The captain went over to him and cried out, "How can you be sleeping so soundly? Up, call upon your God. Perhaps the God will be kind to us and we will not perish." The men said to one another, "Let us cast lots and find out on whose account this disaster has come upon us." So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. They said to him, "Tell us, You who have brought this disaster upon us, what is your business? Where do you come from? What is your country, and of what people are you? I am a Hebrew, he replied. I worship the eternal, the God of heaven, who made both sea and dry land. The men were greatly terrified, and they asked him, what have you done? And when the men learned that he was fleeing from the service of the eternal, for so he told them, they said to him, what must we do to you to make the sea calm around us? For the sea was growing more and more stormy. He answered, heave me overboard, and the surrounding sea will quiet down. For I know that this terrible storm came upon you on my account. Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to regain the shore, but they could not, for the sea was growing more and more stormy around them. Before throwing him overboard, they cried out to the Eternal, please do not let us perish on account of this man. Do not compel us to kill an innocent person. For you, O Eternal, by your will have brought this about. And they heaved Jonah overboard, and the sea stopped raging. Then the men were greatly in awe of the Eternal. They offered a sacrifice to the Eternal, and they made vows. Then the Eternal ordained that a huge fish swallow Jonah, and Jonah remained in the fish's belly 3 days and 3 nights. Then the Eternal ordered the fish to spew Jonah out upon dry land. The word of the Eternal came to Jonah a second time. Go at once to Nineveh, that great city, and proclaim to it what I tell you. Jonah went at once to Nineveh in accordance with the word of the Eternal. Nineveh was an enormously large city, even on a divine scale, a 3 days walk across. Jonah started out and made his way into the city, the distance of 1 day's walk, and proclaimed, 40 days more and Nineveh shall be overthrown. Then the people of Nineveh believed God. They proclaimed a fast, and all alike, great and small, put on sackcloth. When the news reached the king of Nineveh, he rose from his throne, took off his robe, put on sackcloth, and sat in ashes. And he had the word cried through Nineveh, by decree of the king and his nobles, neither human nor beast shall taste anything. They shall not graze, they shall not drink water. Let them be covered with sackcloth, human and beast, and cry mightily to God. Let all turn back from their evil ways and from the injustice of which they are guilty. Who knows but that God may turn back and relent so that we do not perish. When God saw that what they were doing, how they were turning back from their evil ways, God renounced the punishment planned for them and did not carry it out. This displeased Jonah greatly, and he was incensed. He prayed to the Eternal, saying, Eternal One, isn't this just what I said when I was still in my own country? This is why I fled beforehand to Tarshish. For I know that you are a compassionate and gracious God, endlessly patient, abounding in love, renouncing punishment. Take my life then, for I would rather die than live to see this. The Eternal One replied, Is it right that you are angry? Now Jonah had left the city and found a place east of the city. He made a booth there and sat under it in the shade until he should see what happened to the city. The eternal God provided a gourd which grew up over Jonah to provide shade for his head and save him from discomfort. Jonah was very happy about the plant, but the next day at dawn, God provided a worm which attacked the plant so that it withered. And when the sun rose, God provided a scorching east wind. The sun beat down on Jonah's head, and he became faint. He begged for death, saying, I would rather die than live. Then God said to Jonah, Is it right that you are angry about the plant? I am so angry that I want to die, he replied. Then the Eternal said, You care about the plant, yet you did not work on it or cultivate it. It appeared overnight and perished overnight. And should I not care about Nineveh, that great city, in which there are more than 120,000 persons who do not yet know their right hand from their left, and also much cattle? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'yoseh, ha'medaber u'mkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al ha'nevi'im, v'al yom ha'kippurim hazeh, shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, limlicha v'lislicha u'lechapara, lechavod u'letifaret, Al hakol, Adonai Eloheinu, anachnu modim lach, umvarchim otach, yitbarach shimcha b'fi kol chai, tamid leolam va'ed, u'devarach ha'emet v'kayam la'ad, Baruch atah Adonai, melech mochel v'soleach la'avonotenu, v'la'avonot amo be'Yisrael, u'ma'avir ashmotenu b'chol shana v'shana, melech hakol ha'aretz, mekadesh Yisrael, v'yom ha'kippurim.
Shkoch to you. We wish you strength, Ron,
Thank you.
as we rise, preparing to return our Torah to the Ark.
Hodo al eretz v'shamayim, v'yarem keren le'amo, techila lechol chasida, libnei Yisrael am kirovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam, ha'olam, amen. Al shlosha devarim, 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 ha'olam, ha'olam, amen. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lecha hakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lecha hakodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu We continue with our closing song, Hashirim. Hashireinu, Hashireinu, Adonai Elecha, Ben Ashuva, Ben Kadesh, Kadesh, Yaminu Kekedem.
Shkoch, we wish strength to all those who participated in this afternoon service. We're going to take a brief break and then be back online and here in person with our special music and meditation service at 4 p.m. So for now, good Yontif, Simchal, an easy fast, and we'll see you momentarily again.